Welcome back, everybody. So if you noticed in my last video, the audio sounds like complete crap because apparently it was recording from the camera and not from the freaking Yeti microphone. So I don't really know why that happened the way it happened. But anyways, we're going to continue on with Dumb Tweets, Science Tweets 4. This one starts getting a lot into, I guess, like foods and what you're doing with your life and yada yada yada, doesn't matter. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and start this thing off with the contagion myth. Why viruses, including coronavirus, are not the cause of disease. So terrain theory, I believe it's called, is essentially the theory of you have germ theory and you have terrain theory. And we're gonna get more into this later, but germ theory is typically what we deal with now, and that is microbes are the cause of disease. Terrain theory is your body actually stops you from getting disease. So when it's out of whack and whatnot, that's the only time you actually catch diseases, which is complete crap. So a microbe is there to propagate itself. That's just how it's supposed to do, because if it can do that, it gets to survive. That might come at the cost of you. Now, there is some truth to if you have a messed up immune system, say if you have like HIV and a fundamental part of it is breaking down, yeah, you might come across things like, diseases opportunistically infecting you that normally aren't an issue. In fact, people with AIDS actually end up catching funguses inside of their lungs because the immune system isn't able to kick in and stop it from happening. So just like in everything, there's a little bit of truth to it. Thinking that it's just your body protecting you from diseases, like which it's supposed to, obviously, but your body only being the thing that protects you from diseases, not like, preventing them from even entering your body in the first place. That's just not how diseases work. These things have been around, and I think that's what people underestimate. These have been around for millions. I think actually the first life was like 1.3 billion years ago. So it's been around for a long time, and they've co-evolved with us, and they've co-evolved to the point that they can infect us despite, our bodies putting up a fight. So, no, coronaviruses and viruses in general are definitely the cause of diseases. So then we got this guy. Medical removal practices that do more harm than good. Wisdom teeth. So everybody knows what wisdom teeth are. They're an extra set of teeth that back in the day, by about the time you hit your late teens, odds are you already lost a couple of teeth from either decay or damage or just something. So wisdom teeth would come in and push all the rest of the teeth forward to fill in those gaps. Well, as hygiene got better, boom, we don't need wisdom teeth anymore. So unless you want your teeth overcrowding and your nerves underneath your teeth to just get completely jacked and be in constant pain, I would definitely say removing your wisdom teeth does not do more harm than good. Gallbladder. People have been known that when they lose a lot of weight, their gallbladder actually develops stones, which is incredibly painful, can affect your ability to eat, and actually can cause your gallbladder to burst under certain situations, which can lead you to basically be spilling bile out into your intestines, which will kill you. Adenoids and tonsils. This one, there might actually be a little bit of truth to. So a lot of people don't actually know your immune system starts up here. Actually, even your saliva, to a degree, offers some immune benefits. So when you remove those, it's been said that, it's like 20% of your immune system being removed. Now, that's kind of a reality, but the issue is it becomes a question of quality of life, right? So if you get your tonsils removed, and I don't think you should get your tonsils removed and adenoids just because you have an infection one time. And a lot of doctors in the past definitely went a little trigger happy with that. But if you could take something to basically decrease the pain of having your adenoids and tonsils enlarged, or just decrease the amount of times it happens, hey, go for it. But getting them removed if they're constantly inflamed and causing quality of life issues, no, does not do more harm than good. Your spleen filters your red blood cells, right? There have been issues that arise with that, and if your spleen enlarges based on any infections or an issue that arises, it can actually burst. And considering that it's filtering your red blood cells, if that thing bursts, you're bleeding out. Your colon. I don't think you have to get your colon removed for anything except for like the worst possible scenario. So, it is what it is. Stomach stapling. Again, while there are medical issues associated with it, Actually, he might be right on that one. Stomach stapling, it's like there is a point to it to lose weight because it helps you feel fuller faster, but there's also medical issues that arise with it. So unless you're like my 600-pound life, you probably shouldn't just get your stomach stapled, just because. So most of these that he's talking about, it's going to increase your quality of life if you actually get them done. People need to understand that a tumor is there to save your life. When your body is full of poison, toxemic, and acidosis, and you are basically going to die of that poison. Your body builds a bag and collects all the poison from your body in this bag, which they call a tumor. I'm gonna go ahead and guess by her name. You can't see it, but I can. This is probably a bot account, just because, first name numbers. But just the concept of that, it's not a bag that your body, it doesn't just become an extra organ that your body's like, oh, hey, we're gonna filter everything out, or we're gonna keep it contained. No, basically, when a cell goes past the ability of the body to basically tell it to, hey, you need to undergo apoptosis, you're becoming cancerous, or it learns how to hide, that's what creates a tumor. It's cancer. It's not there to save your life. In fact, it's a consequence of potentially either choices in your life, or it's a consequence of improper genetics or mutations to genetics, which choices might be able to do that, but also literally, again, walking out in the sun can cause that. So, no, it's definitely not there to save your life. It's there for you to get rid of it because it's cancer and it's no longer playing on your team anymore. So, yeah, it's time for it to go. Okay, so this one was a big thing when they came out with the Impossible Burger. Hasn't that been their goal, to create more effeminate men and wipe out the alphas? First off, if you call yourself an alpha, stop it immediately. You're not actually an alpha because it's so stupid. Well, everybody knows you need to be on that Sigma male grind set. Anyways, Burger King's Impossible Burger contains 44 milligrams of estrogen, is a GMO, and has a huge amount of inflammatory vegetable oil. Okay, so most of our food that we eat nowadays is a GMO food because they're bigger, they're more resistant to diseases. We just kind of screw with everything because that's what we do as humans. And you know what? It really doesn't cause that much of an issue. So, regular 1/4 pound burger only contains 2.5 nanograms of estrogen. 44 milligrams of estrogen is equal to birth control, enough to cause gynecomastia, male breast growth. So, this is actually one of those things that people have been trying to figure out if it's actually real with the Impossible Burger. And it's called, I believe, isoflavane. I can't pronounce it because I suck with pronunciation sometimes. But basically, it's known as like a weak estrogen, right? So, and the amount of it for, I think, transitioning people, like actual estrogen is like 8 milligrams, if I remember correctly. Whereas this has like 2, but there's a difference. So isoflavane, good lord. Basically, how it operates is like a weak estrogen interaction. So it can only link up with certain portions of receptors on cells that would register it as estrogen. But there's something to remember about males and females is we both produce estrogen, right? And estrogen itself is like 3 times stronger than isoflavane. So you actually have kind of an anti-estrogen effect with it too, because estrogen that goes to connect to those cells can't do it because basically the Impossible Burger stuff is in the way. So because it can't, it has less of an effect on the estrogen receptors than it normally would. So while it's able to biologically influence your body, it's not able to actually cause enough of an effect and actually prevents estrogen from naturally binding to those sites too. So it causes a little bit of an effect, but it also stops the normal effect. So that pretty much comes out to you can eat an Impossible Burger and be fine. The midwife just told me the best way to cut our newborn's nails is to chew them gently. Gross. Obsessed with how weird and intimate motherhood is. I've never heard of chewing your newborn's nails. I mean, that's just me. I haven't had a kid, but I talked to my family about this and they never chewed nails either. So I don't really know what's up with that. Somebody sound off the do you chew your baby's nails? I don't know. Babies do not need herpes simplex virus 1 or streptococcus mutants, but to each their own, of course. If the mother had herpes before getting pregnant, the baby already has the antibodies. So as long as the mother is the only one to chew the baby's fingernails, then all is good. No, don't do this. So a baby's immune system kicks in about 2 to 3 months after they're born. So during that first 2 to 3 months, they're relying on the antibodies in their mom's milk. Just because you have antibodies to something doesn't mean you can't be infected with something. Look at current virus right now, right? The vaccine is supposed to give you actual antibody production to fight the virus, yet you can still be infected. The same happens with herpes. Just because you have antibodies to it doesn't mean you can't be infected with it. So don't do that. Don't rely on antibodies. Antibodies are a good body armor, but that doesn't mean, it's the end-all be-all. Nothing's gonna make it through, which is why the terrain theory doesn't work. So this one is actually quasi-true, but it's not like what OP is trying to say. If you wear pads, it prevents you from swimming. Saying wearing tampons is a solution. If a girl doesn't want to wear them, how are you not getting it? For many girls, menstruation stops in the water. No, it actually doesn't stop. The pressure from the water basically causes it to not come out, I guess is the best way to put it. So no, it doesn't stop it. Any movement, laughing, coughing, sneezing, any of that can still push blood out because it changes the pressure. So no, it doesn't stop. It's just the pressure there creates kind of like a back pressure. Sort of like a submarine underwater. If you have a pressurized room, it stops the water from coming in. It's the same concept. As a diabetic, I can tell you there are times where it's been peanut butter and jelly for lunch and dinner so I can afford my insulin, something I need to survive. I was born with the disease. It wasn't my choice, but I feel like a horrible burden to my family, which is very sad. Not sure you're born with it. It don't happen that way. It do happen that way, actually. First off, I'm just going to go ahead and go on a soapbox real quick. The whole price of insulin is friggin' criminal, all right? I forget who it was. There was this guy, really weaselly looking douche, for lack of a better term, who got a hold of some company and he jacked up HIV medication prices, and then he also jacked up insulin prices, like to a crazy amount. And then obviously that was put on everybody else. It's like, oh, well, it's a life-saving medication. We should charge for it. That guy's a douchebag, straight up. We all know where he's going after he dies. But you're not a burden on your family just because you need insulin, but you can definitely be born with type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune issue almost. Like you essentially have either your body attacking, it's not almost an autoimmune issue, it's basically your body can either attack your pancreas and then they release little to no insulin because the cells right there next to the bloodstream are basically under attack, so they're not going to do it. Or you can have some sort of virus that enters those cells and then your body starts attacking it. Again, autoimmune issue. So there's a lot of ways with type 1, either it just doesn't function correctly, or your body's attacking it, or it's been damaged in some way that your pancreas is not releasing the insulin that you need. You can definitely be born with it. You can, apparently if a virus attacks, you can be contracting it as well. So this guy, yeah, it happens that way, my dude. Over 4 billion prescriptions in the US and Canada make up more than 80% of the world's prescriptions. Opioids, SeattleOrganicRestaurants.com, well, whatever. Find out natural pharmaceutical counterparts for glowing Anyways, so I'm just going to tell you everything you need to know right here. While, yes, fruits and vegetables and certain, teas and all that can assist, I think people become obsessed with finding an alternative. So for instance, if you zoom in on the Prilosec is a proton pump inhibitor, right? It decreases the acid in your stomach by decreasing the amount of acid produced. Grapefruit is horrible for acid reflux. It basically causes your esophagus to deconstrict, I guess is the best way to put it. It causes it to relax. And then what happens is the acid will come up and then hit your esophagus. But not only that, grapefruit is acidic, which makes acid reflux way worse. So you got to be careful when looking at these type of opinions, because just that's the biggest one that stood out. But all of these things, it's like, no, it does not contain the compounds needed. And in some cases, like again, with the grapefruit and anti-acid whatever, that makes it worse. So it's like, oh, okay. Galaxy brain take right there, buddy. So I'm the whitest guy in my friend group. I spent all day in the sun surfing and I don't even turn red. 0 sunburn. Everyone else looks like cherries. Carnivore stuff is real. Sunburn indicates a lack of cholesterol to convert into vitamin D and testosterone. Okay. So, first off, that's not how it works. If you go out into the sun and you are super pale, what happens is you have radiation that is hitting your skin, right? So all melanin is basically a buildup in front of your nucleus of pigment so that it can absorb sunlight coming in so it doesn't damage the DNA. Eating cholesterol, that's incorrect. That's not what creates melanin. Okay, basically just incorrect. I don't really know how to tell. He's basically considering cholesterol being converted into testosterone and vitamin D. Okay. The ancients used sound to heal. In Malta, at the oldest underground temple in the world, there is a room called the Oracle Chamber, designed to vibrate sound at 111 hertz, which scientists now know kills cancer cells using the powers of the 11th harmonic. So I actually looked this one up because I'd never heard such insanity in my life, okay? People believe that the 111th hertz of the 11th harmonic is like related to holy energy. You know, in my studies, things like ultrasound, which they call it ultrasound because you can't hear it, can be used to basically take out cancer. But you can actually hear the 111 hertz, and it doesn't actually do what you think it does. They say it has some effect on endorphins and hormones in the brain. No, it doesn't. But ultrasound can be, I think what they were going for here is ultrasound being able to take out cancer, but the 11th harmonic is not taking out any cancer. Okay, so this one, I wanted to do something a little different. We're just gonna go on Reddit for a second. And this is Reddit. What is the worst medical advice that a doctor gave you? That I need to turn in half a cup of blood a day for monitoring. Thanks, Dr. Acula. I'll take my chances. Dr. Acula's the worst. He could bite me. You turn in a cup of blood, or excuse me, half a cup of blood. Oh, good Lord. So let's see here. I believe you have, on average, about 5 pints of blood. So you can donate 1 pint of blood a month. I think it's every 30 to 60 days you can donate a pint of blood. So in 4 days, you've already pretty much given him a pint of blood, right? I'm not sure what he's trying to monitor, but you're talking after 8 days, you're starting to feel extremely woozy because you're not going to be replacing that much blood and you're going to be pretty tired. I'm fairly certain if you lose, how much blood does it take to die? You reach exsanguination if you lose 40% of your blood. So 40% of your blood is about, if I remember correctly, so yeah, 20, 40, 60, 80, yeah. That's 2 pints of blood. That's what causes exsanguination. Now, it's different between males and females, but within 8 days, this dude is trying to exsanguinate your body. Oh my God. Okay, I asked for an STD test. Doctor asked if I'd been using condoms. I said yes. So he tells me you don't need a test. You couldn't have caught anything with condoms. That's not true at all. How about no? I ended up having to tell him about the time a while ago that I didn't use one, so he gave me my damn paperwork for the test. See, some doctors have really good bedside manners. Some don't. There's hypochondriacs in the world, obviously, but getting an STD test, I don't think a doctor really needs to question about what you've been doing. Just give them the test, all right? Doesn't matter. Wearing a condom obviously decreases your chances by a considerable amount, and you should do it. But the reality of the situation is you can still catch STDs even if you use a condom. Not to mention, you're probably doing other stuff with other places on your body, so you can actually get chlamydia in your throat. That happens. When I was a kid, I stepped on a spike, damn near went through my foot. The doctor told me to go home and soak my foot in the toilet. Figured it was clean, cold water. We only used outhouse though. So I'm guessing this was an older person, because that's a terrible idea. That's how you lose your foot entirely from some sort of infection. Good Lord. Okay, so this guy. I'm O negative. Unless my partner, wife, girlfriend is O blood type, they won't get pregnant. How does this man think blood types actually like arose within our species? So for everybody who doesn't know, O is recessive, A, B are dominant. Let's say your mom is A and your dad is O. Those will combine, boom, you're gonna be type A. If your mom is O and your dad is O, boom, those combine, you're O. So it doesn't really matter. Does this guy think he's walking around in a world where like even people of his own species are just not compatible for getting frisky because they have different they have different blood types? This is the type of stuff that's like people are almost there with the information. They're so close to grasping it, but then they fall. It's like they're building, and then fall because just right before they grasp the concept, it just evaporates out of their hands, and then they make tweets like this. Okay, there are flu viruses that are coronaviruses, though. That's why the PCR tests can't tell the difference between COVID, the flu, and the cold. So at this point, we know COVID was a gain-of-function virus, obviously. If you didn't know that, go back to, I think it was like October 20th. It basically came out in an NIH letter that it was a gain of function. Now they're arguing it wasn't gain of function, that it was misinterpreted. I don't really know. I wasn't there creating it. So, or having it be around. So who knows, right? Is it a gain of function? Is it not a gain of function? If it is, for, devil's advocate, if it is a gain of function, well, it seems to be pretty infective. So, I mean, a cold or flu, who knows? Maybe that was used to incorporate into it. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that the COVID test should be testing for a specific marker with the virus itself, not testing for the flu or cold. But the flu viruses are not coronaviruses. Those are different. The cold viruses are rhinoviruses. Those aren't coronaviruses, so that's different. This whole thing, this has really brought out a lot of weird takes with all of these, to be honest with you. So prison is a bad example. I see people from being fat come out ripped. I agree with terrain theory. Germ theory is flawed. The only thing I know is that diseases can be spread through frequency and who you resonate with. So this is wrong for multiple reasons. Germ theory is flawed. Explain to me how germ theory is flawed. Do you think that germs don't invade your body? Do you think viruses and bacteria can't get in your body? Do you think that once they do get in your body, the only way you get sick is if your body can't handle it? And even then, wouldn't that just mean that germ theory, still the invading thing, is what's making you sick? So if, like, again, we talked about it a second ago, but terrain theory essentially says, oh, well, you're colonized essentially by microbes all the time, right? And things are just drifting in and out. As long as your body can handle it, you don't get sick. Now, to a degree, you have to understand, yeah, there are things that affect your immune system that can cause you to not have an effective response, letting things get out of control, right? If you are immunocompromised, if your body is missing key points in the immune system, such as CD4 and CD8 T cells, or there's a genetic issue, those things can cause you or allow you to get sick more often than, say, a person with a fully functioning immune system. But Here's the issue with terrain theory, right? There's nothing wrong with my immune system. My immune system works pretty well, actually. Yet I still get sick. Why do I still get sick? If my immune system is completely functional, I work out, I eat healthy, how do I still get sick? People still get sick who run triathlons. People still get sick who eat healthy all the time. You still get sick because when something invades your body doesn't have an immediate response to it. That thing still has time to grow, to infect, to do what it needs to do to create more of itself, because that's why it's there. Then your body has to respond in turn. So you have your innate immune system, which responds first, obviously. Then you have your adaptive immune system, which takes about 2 or 3 days and usually responds with more precision force. Terrain theory is crap, okay? Terrain theory basically says, again, as long as I'm healthy, nothing can affect me. Wrong. Very wrong. You can be exceptionally healthy and HIV will still totally Shrek you. That's just the reality. Germ theory is flawed. No, it's not. Germ theory basically just states something infecting your body will cause illness. That's all it is. And then he goes on to further dig this hole. The only thing I know is that disease can spread through frequency. You don't know that because that's not how it works. Frequency. Are you talking about sound waves? Are you talking about just wavelengths in general and who you resonate with? You're not actually resonating with them. You're not resonating. You just feel good with them. It's just a term. Like a colloquialism. You don't actually, it's not like your body is like, oh, we're vibrating at the same frequency. God. Sometimes people just make you angry and upset, right? And you're not resonating with them at that point. You're not angry and upset because your bodies aren't vibrating at the same frequency. You're angry and upset because they freaking stole your lunch money or, you know what, borrowed your car without asking. That's what makes you upset. Anyways, so with this galaxy, no. With this multiverse brain take, we're going to go ahead and end this here. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope the sound quality was better because the last one sounded like complete crap. That's on me. I screwed up with my Logic Streamcam thing was the one taking in the sound rather than my microphone. If you did enjoy, leaving a like would be great, and subscribing is a great way to stay up to date on when I post these things. I'm having a lot of fun doing these, and I hope to maybe incorporate, like I said, TikToks. I got to figure out how to find more of these, though. So just keep an eye out for that. Anyhow, I appreciate you watching, and I hope everyone has a good, probably rest of their week. Yeah, all right. Take care, y'all.